Several years back, I had purchased a Ruger Precision Rimfire rifle. The whole reason I wanted this back in the day was I wanted a little bit higher end target rifle and 22 long rifle that I could really hone my skills with. So I purchased a Ruger Precision Rimfire. As time went on and I used that gun, I started to get a little bit discouraged. You go on a lot of forums and you do a lot of reading. Sometimes people might make you feel worse about yourself than you really are. And you really got to temper your input when you're reading comments from people, temper your input when you're watching other people's videos. And you really need to decide for yourself, what do you think is good enough? What do you think is good enough for accuracy? What do you think is good enough for the amount of time and money that you put into a rifle when you take it out to the range and shoot it? So I'd gotten discouraged, and a while back I had sold mine and bought something else in its place. As time went on, I went back and watched my older videos and started doing a lot more research on the Ruger Precision Rimfire, and I started feeling better about myself and thought, well, maybe I didn't give my Ruger Precision Rimfire enough of a chance. The one that I had previously, I never really took the time to take the handguard off and make sure that everything was torqued down correctly. I didn't really take the time to set up the scope accordingly. I didn't really take the time to try to tighten up the bipod or try a better bipod. I did use some sandbags now and then, and I did what I thought was best about taking my time to shoot. But as time goes on, again, and the more videos you watch and the more information you glean from other people, the better you can be at shooting. I got to thinking what really could have been if I had kept my Ruger Precision Rimfire. Now, these have been off the market for a while, or at least I wasn't able to find them locally for quite a while. So, several months back, when one of these popped up for sale, I took the opportunity to snatch it up and figured I would try a couple of things with this model that I didn't do with the other one. However, when I first bought this, I figured I should set it up exactly like I had my old one. So the original Ruger Precision Rimfire I had put an ergo style pistol grip on it. I had put a Simmons Pro Target 3 to 9 by 40 scope on it, and other than that, it was pretty much all factory. But I never really took the time to torque everything down. It had a really tall CCOP bipod on the front. I did use advice that a lot of you have given me in the past. I was using a sandbag on the back of the rifle and the bipod on the front, which gives me a lot more stability when I'm trying to shoot. And when I was shooting, I was setting my crosshairs up on the bullseye target, which is a 4-inch circle, and trying to get the best accuracy I could. I had previously sighted this rifle in with Federal Auto Match, so some of these shots are obviously low if the velocity is lower than the Federal Auto Match. Originally, I had planned on bringing a bore snake with me and cleaning out the barrel after every brand of ammo, but I forgot the bore snake at home, so I ended up doing all of my shots with the same dirty barrel. I don't think it really affected the accuracy that much, though. What I did for the shooting was take 5 shots at a blank target and then 5 shots for a group, and you can see the results as we go through this. And even though I thought when I was shooting I had gotten pretty good accuracy out of it, when I go back and rewatch these videos, I can see that my technique is really poor. You can see me often taking my head up off of the scope. I'm wrapping my hand all the way around that pistol grip, which changes the, basically the grip of the gun every time I do that. And all of those little things really contribute to what could have been poor shooting and poor accuracy on my part rather than the gun. But again, as you watch a lot of other people shooting and you see what their accuracy is at 25 and 50 yards, I got a little bit discouraged and I thought that maybe I should sell mine and potentially get something else in its place. But then again, after I went back and rewatched my video again, you can see that my best groups, if I threw out the worst round out of a 5-round group, I was getting less than a half an inch group at 50 yards. Which again, for me, is pretty stinking good when you consider that I had a really cheap scope on this thing, a $20 bipod. My technique was poor. It was cold out when I was doing these shots. So I really didn't think I gave myself enough credit for the shooting that I had done. And again, several months back when I started seeing the Ruger Precision Rimfire show up again, I ended up picking one up. So what I decided to do was set up the new unit basically exactly the same way as I had the original one. So again, I left the factory pistol grip on this one this time, but I did take the handguard off. I made sure the barrel was torqued down correctly. I made sure all of the action was nice and snug, nothing was loose. I did end up using basically the same scope that I had on the other one, so it's a Simmons Pro Target 3 to 9 by 40. This does have the factory Ruger 30 MOA rail on it, but I bought the lowest rings I could possibly get on this thing, so much so that the front of the scope is almost touching the handguard. I did choose to put a little bit better bipod on it this time. It's shorter than the previous one I had, and it has springs on it, which keeps it nice and tight. I had also had a muzzle brake on my original one, and I decided not to put a muzzle brake on this one, at least for now. And my point is, now that I have this again, I want to take my time and really sit down, dial the thing in the best I can, try all the techniques that I've seen over the past couple of years, basically keeping your thumb on the right side of the receiver when you're shooting instead of wrapping it around the pistol grip, taking your time, breathing, and just pulling that trigger straight back, releasing it after the shot has hit the target. And so I took it out to the range and did a little bit of sighting in here.
Ruger Precision Rimfire. I'm just trying to get it sighted in, take a few rounds on target, trying to get the comb height adjusted correctly and stuff. This is set up exactly the same way as my old one. This has a Simmons 3 to 9 by 40 scope on it. It is a Pro Target, which is actually a centerfire scope, but I want to see if this time around I can get any better accuracy out of this gun than I did the last time I owned one. I'm starting off with a bag on the rear of the buttstock and a better bipod. That one has springs on it to keep it nice and tight. So I'm trying to give myself the best chance for success right out of the gate. However, I am using Remington Golden Bullet, which is about the worst target ammo you can get. It's hitting right quite a bit.
Now I know in this video I'm going to end up disappointing a bunch of people because I don't have the targets to show the accuracy of this, but you can see based on how I'm holding the gun, how I'm not picking my head up off the gun, I'm using a sandbag on the back of this, and I'm using that better bipod, that now the gun is a lot more stable. To be honest, I almost didn't put the shooting footage in this video, but the last Ruger Precision Rimfire I had never taken the time to tighten up the handguard, make sure the action and everything was tight before I shot it. So this time, before I took it out and sighted it in, I made sure that everything was snug and tight. I made sure that even the rail was tight, and I'm using a better bipod and a sandbag.
Well, it's still hitting right. I have about a nickel-sized hole that is completely shot out of the center of that target, and I'm just trying to get it sighted in at 25 yards right now.
I can tell that when I'm running that bolt, I'm kind of stroking it a little bit too hard. The whole rifle is still moving as I'm moving that action, opening it, closing it, so I do still have to work on my technique a lot, but I hope that most of you will agree. My technique is getting better, and the tools that I'm using are getting better, so I should be able to get much better accuracy out of this rifle this time around.
Well, I just wanted to get some range footage for the video. I'm glad I did. This gun shoots awesome. And I have a couple of magazines that don't want to rotate very well. But I am done. I am cold. I am getting hungry. I don't want some Chinese food. Hope I don't have a tariff on that. Anywho, Ruger Ruger Precision Rimfire 22 long rifle. This is the second one I've owned, and this one so far, I haven't done a lot of real accurate shooting with it, but I was just trying to get it somewhat dialed in. I think it's going to be a winner. I really do. This bipod is much better than the other ones. The springs on this thing keep it much more stable. Great rifle. I love these things. Glad I bought another one.
Well, at any rate, that's going to do it for this edition of Cranky Gun Reviews and this edition of Why Did I Want This Gun? Again, with the Ruger Precision Rimfire in 22 long rifle. Thanks for joining me again. Thanks for helping my channel grow. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and shoot. And you remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is always the greater good.